if you don't really understand government or politics, but you want to understand what it means when they say Trump took away DEI in government and changed the federal hiring practices, watch this. And if you black, it took us 100 years to get a president to sign some of these things into an executive order. Within 48 hours of him being president, he took them away. So he starts off basically trying to say that the federal government gives civil rights protection, so we don't need extra protections. But he says, but the current federal hiring practices are broken, insular, outdated. They no longer focus on merit or skill and dedication to our Constitution. Federal hiring should not be based on impermissible factors such as one's commitment to illegal race-based discrimination under the guise of equity. They're calling equity racism now. In the DEI ending in contracting, he says the medical industry, the large commercial airlines, law enforcement agencies, and institutions of higher education have adopted and are actively using dangerous, demeaning, and immoral race and sex-based preferences under the guise of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion. They went all the way back to 1965 to take away an executive order by Lyndon Johnson. So I went to look up what was in that executive order. Two things were in there: non-discrimination in government employment, non-discrimination in government contractors and subcontractors. The contractor would not discriminate against an employee or applicant for employment because of race, color, religion, or sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. The contractor will take affirmative action to ensure that applicants are employed and that employees are treated during employment without regard of their race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or the national origin. Such action shall include, but not be limited to, the following: employment, upgrading, demotion or transfer, recruitment or recruitment advertising, layoff and terminations, pay rates or other forms of compensation, and selection for training, including apprenticeship. Okay. Now, this is basically two executive orders that take away 100 years of black advocacy with the swipe of his pen. There are people who worked for decades to ensure that black people could have equal protection under the law. We know we got civil rights, but they continue to erode our civil rights. When you've got a court that's got the majority of the people appointed are conservatives, of those conservatives, the majority of them appointed have been appointed by Trump, and they don't believe in certain civil rights protections. The reason we had presidents write these executive orders was to ensure that the people who were administering the job in the government actually did those jobs. Trump is basically saying it's okay to discriminate against people if you think that they are not merit-based in this equation. How do you end up in this situation? If all the people in the room are white males making the decisions about what the merit should be, then how do people from other communities even get in the conversation? And me specifically speaking for black men and women, this is a response to black women being the most educated group in America right now, chasing their dreams to get to positions that give them the opportunity to be successful. Black men who have jumped over hurdles that have been set for them and acquiring positions that they deem we are not fit to be in. We should be very concerned, because when you do away with these protections, you basically say we're determining what the merits are. Now, for me, because I understand how these people work, if you are a business owner and you're black, you should be very concerned, because all of the protections that they put in to ensure that we got to be considered, they're removing them. If you're black and you desire to move and work in government, you should be concerned, because all of the things that we have put in as protections to ensure that there was equal protection under the law, or to ensure that the people working within the administration were actually abiding by the rules, Trump said we don't play by those rules anymore. We don't care about ensuring that the government looks like America. We don't care about ensuring that we're equitable in all of the things. And that's how discrimination expands. That is how discrimination expands. When you're not at the table, you're always on the menu. And if you're over there performing at the inauguration or a Trump supporter, justify this one for me. Make it make sense. Unless you're just over there because you're a rapper that's looking for somebody to be pardoned, or you're somebody in business that's trying to get a job or a contract, because step and fetch is always their thing. I didn't know it was yours.